Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, we have brought on a special guest, Janelle, who's a former Air Force veteran and healthcare professional. Hey. A few weeks ago, we were actually talking about the importance of health being within tech professionals and how it's lacking sometimes, and how we really need to be able to shift our focus into the conversation. So that's exactly why we have her here today. So if you're looking to improve your physical health and mental health, Janelle is the person you want to speak to, and I'm super excited to have her on the channel. So Janelle, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself a little bit.
Hi, I'm Janelle. Before transitioning to Salesforce and working from home, I graduated from Duke University and I worked as a nurse and nurse practitioner. One of the areas I spent a lot of time in was the neuroscience unit. And so I cared for a lot of people with occupational back injuries. And as a nurse practitioner, I cared for people with a whole range of issues, both physical and emotional. And so today I want to talk about 5 things that you can do at home to help with health.
Awesome. Well, I know for sure because you and I were talking about this. I tend to especially when editing videos, because you're editing for 4 or 5 hours sometimes, I just don't have my hand in the proper space. I'm looking in one screen, looking in the other. And I'm so excited to have you on today because I need to fix that because that's hurting. So I'm excited to have you on.
Positions we put ourselves in, right?
Oh yeah. It's the worst. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, why am I hurting? So cool. Really excited to have you here with us today. So I know we're speaking about 5 specific things. Can you just tell the audience what those areas are?
Okay, so the first one is I want to talk about what exactly is ergonomics, just briefly, what the definition is, because what common misconceptions about ergonomics are, and then just the definition and what can work do for you, because sometimes there could be things at work that they could do for you. Secondly, I want to talk about what can you do, like you were talking about your wrist support. And thirdly, I want to talk about proper posture, because if you sit correctly, it can actually alleviate a lot of that back pain, which also alleviates a lot of that awkward positioning, And then fourth, I want to talk about resting, scheduled resting, because, as human beings, rest is very important. It's a need. We have to rest. We can't just work all day. We have to give our bodies breaks in order to lubricate our joints, in order to hydrate. We have to rest. So making sure we schedule our rest. And lastly, with everything that's going on with work and productivity, sometimes we just need to give ourselves a break. So that mindfulness, I want to talk about a little bit about mindfulness. I won't go into depth about it, but I want to give some resources about that.
Awesome. I'm so excited to hear about all of these areas. As for my husband and I that both work at home, it's something that we've mentioned quite a lot since probably even the beginning of the year. We both just recently got standing desk, but I know a lot of people, it's so nice. It's definitely an investment, but it's the right investment for you. And I know a lot of people, our mutual connection, Lori, even has the walking treadmill. And
that elliptical one or the treadmill ones, those are awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's booming over TikTok. So I think the tech industry is really starting to see the importance of movement, exactly like you were saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a good segue into our first topic. So ergonomics. So what is ergonomics? So ergonomics, the medical definition, is helping to arrange and design our environment to interact and more efficiently and safely. And so, like you were saying, in order to be more productive, a lot of the times employers will help with that. And so sometimes they might even call into a specialist or a consultant to discuss options. So I know as a medical provider, I know that I've signed off on some of those items that can help with that. For example, sit to stand desk, I've signed off on that. I've signed off on chairs. I've also signed off on monitor stands that help with viewing angles. So I would definitely speak with your employer to see if they offer that, or your medical provider.
Something that's my company does do right now is that they actually reimburse you for your desk setup. And what they've started doing is sending like little health benefits as to why standing desks would be beneficial. So again, that's something we both started a new career at the beginning of the year, and we used to just have a desk where we would sit, and it was just so uncomfortable to the point, like we said at the beginning of the video, it was just like you're cracking every time you literally move. But having the ability to just stand and sit and also just like move when you want when you're working, it's been key to like our health improvement too. And we're more conscious of sitting up, so we even time ourselves to be like, okay, we've been sitting for like an hour, here goes my timer, now I need to sit up.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of the times, a lot of these implementations might need a medical provider's like consultation or approval.
Mhm.
But like you said, if your employer allows it, use those benefits. Why
Mhm.
let it go to waste? Use those benefits.
Now, you mentioned something about wrist support, and I think that's a huge topic for a lot of us. Can you speak a little bit more into that?
So one of the biggest complaints that I saw as a medical professional and as a person who types all day, something that I have experienced is carpal tunnel or repetitive wrist injury like tendonitis. So you get that from these repetitive motions and also just having awkward positioning. A lot of people have used like foam or gels to help with that. And those are really good to help support you and give you proper positioning. What I like to use though, and I'll give you a little video on that, are these things called these Delta Hub wrist guards. And I like them, and I have some here. They look like these little wings.
Mm-hmm.
And I like them a little better because I'm also a gamer and I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm in the zone, I'm all over the place, left and right. And this allows me to go left and right all over the mat. And it helps with proper positioning because that's the key to preventing wrist strain and wrist injury, is making sure that your wrist is in line and it's supported.
Mm-hmm. That brings me to a question. So, like when I'm using a mouse, let's say, is there a certain way that, or certain mouses that you would even recommend and then not recommend? Or is there a certain like way our hand should be in position with the desk too?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if there's any mice that aren't not, how do I say, not recommended, but you don't want to use one that's like the pediatric mice, the
Mm-hmm.
small kid mice, because they're too small for your hands. And you want to make sure that your hand is neutral so that you're not fully articulating it one way or the other. You want to make sure that it's neutral. And so that's why this Delta Hub or those gel mats, they help make sure that it's nice and neutral and straight. When your hand is on a mouse and without the pad or support, a lot of the times what happens is you're at this kind of like weird angle
Mm-hmm.
and it's tilted and you don't realize it and you're hitting the desk,
Yeah.
and that constant pressure pinches the nerve, and that's what leads to carpal tunnel.
The pain. Yeah. That was
Exactly.
something that really hurt. And I almost thought like it got to the point of like, did I fracture this just sitting down?
A lot of, yeah, it can get really bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, this won't cure carpal tunnel, but it can really help. If it gets to a point, obviously, where it's really severe, the best thing you can do is like, rest it. And a lot of the times we'll have to like actually splint it or go to a medical professional where they can do other therapies.
Mm. Well, this is great to know. I think it's really important to understand your positioning up for the mouth, but not only that, I think it's really important to like have the correct posture when you're sitting or when you're standing. My husband actually made me watch an entire video after I was complaining for like 2 weeks about the hand. He was like, "Well, how are you sitting?" And this kind of just goes right into the posture point.
So OSHA has a website and they have a huge checklist, and they have checklists for like every single type of like evaluation for the workstation. So it's like what to look for in buying a computer chair, what to look for in a sit to stand desk, what
Uh-huh.
to look for in like how to position your monitor away from you, as far as like to prevent these workplace injuries and the best ergonomics.
Mm. I'm going to make sure to, so for everybody that was listening, I'm going to make sure to list the website down below because I think we all need a checklist just to
Exactly.
make sure that we're sitting right.
Yeah, especially if you're just starting out and if you're like, oh, you know what, or remodeling even, I'm gonna make my office exactly how I want it. This is a really good website to check out. Or if you're furniture shopping, this is a really good website to make sure that it, meets all the correct requirements to put you in that good spot where you're not injuring yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of that, proper posture starts with sitting correctly. So sitting correctly means your knees are about the same height as your hips. So let's practice that.
Yep. I was like, let's do this.
Knees about the same height as your hips,
Okay.
with the feet slightly forward. So you don't want them under you. You want them slightly forward. The thighs and hips parallel to the floor.
Okay.
And your back, make sure it's fully supported by your chair. And ideally your chair has lumbar support. You don't want a chair that's just like flat. You want something that's curved.
Okay.
And your feet are flat on the floor. I'm short. My feet don't touch the floor. So I had to buy a little cushion to keep my feet from the floor. It's called Ergo Foam. It's like $20. You can get it on Amazon. They have foamy ones, they have hard ones. This is the one that I like. I'll give you the link so that you can put it on your description. It's really nice so that you can rest your feet right on it. But make sure your feet are fully supported, and that'll help with your posture.
Okay. So I'm in all of the positions that you just told me. Now, I guess my next question would be, what do I do with the arms of the chair? Should that be at a certain length?
So some people, that's actually a personal preference thing, because some people can't stand the arm things.
Yeah.
But ideally, the arms and the hands and the forearms are straight and in line and roughly parallel to the floor.
Okay.
So ideally, it's about here.
So we're sitting like right here. Okay.
Exactly.
That's
whether or not it's resting on the desk or if you have support. But some people don't like the arm stands that come with the chair.
So for everybody watching, you just heard her say like what you have to do. Make sure your feet are not underneath of you. I'm guilty of that. Fix your posture. If anything, just if you leave this video, fix your posture. It's so important. Okay. Awesome.
And I know you're not going to remember. I don't remember all the time, but this is the next topic, Pomodoro timing. If you can't remember all the time, schedule a time. So what is Pomodoro timing? Pomodoro actually means tomato in Italian. And I'm thinking Pomodoro timing comes from those little cute tomato timers in the kitchen.
Yes. And
it is a productivity technique. So you schedule 25-minute increments of work, and then 5 minutes you take a break, and you're supposed to look over your work and kind of go over it and make sure everything looks good. But I would say don't just use that time to reflect on the work. Use that time to also stretch, to check your posture, to wiggle around, to take some water hydration breaks. Those kind of little movements during that 5-minute time period where you're also being productive and looking over your work will really save you in the long run. Mm-hmm. Also, like after 3 little sprints of these Pomodoros, you're supposed to take a long break. Use that time to get up. I would say during that long break, do some lunges if you can. Maybe a squat. If you're really proactive, a burpee or 2.
Hey, burpees in. No, that's awesome. And I think one thing that is catching a lot of attention is actually the Pomodoro technique. But like when I typically do the Pomodoro, it's just like sitting and not moving. And now you're making me realize that, like, of course, get up to get the water, but needing to move more. And I'm thinking from now on, I'm going to put like a little sticky that says like, fix your posture, essentially.
Exactly. And you know what, like it doesn't have to be all at once.
Yeah.
And these things don't have to be like major changes, because if you're trying to do everything all at once, it's probably not going to be sustainable. You want to do these things incrementally in order for them to stick. So maybe the first couple of times you try it, just work on like, okay, next time I'm going to remember to fix my posture.
Yeah.
And then the next couple of days, I'm going to remember, fix my posture, hydrate, because I'm really bad with hydration. And then the next time, I'm going to remember, I'm going to do some arm stretches. And
Yeah.
then you build on that.
Mm-hmm. Just building a little bit of consistency, and like, even right now, I'm just a little paranoid.
You're
Like, yeah,
like checking.
yes, you're like, check. So this is great. So hopefully everybody watching has already fixed their posture quite a few times. So join me for the rest of the video as
We're all going to be exercising.
yeah, if you see the rapid movements, fixing it. But this is awesome. I'm really excited, and I think a lot of people are going to benefit from not only the Pomodoro technique, but like little things that you can start implementing in your life that can make a huge difference at the end of the day.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, with that all being said, sometimes balancing like exercise and work and all these responsibilities, it can get overwhelming, super overwhelming. And I know that like life is so fast paced and it's like efficacy. That's all we care about. And this is where the fifth health topic comes into play, mindfulness. And I will be the first person to say I am not the best at this. And it takes a lot of practice. So, what is mindfulness? Simply, it's the act of being present. It sounds so easy, but it takes a lot of practice. There's a lot of evidence based research that shows that it helps relieve stress, increase focus, helps with energy, sleep, chronic pain. How do you do it? So there's lots of tools and guides on mindfulness. There's tons of videos. So you just Google it, YouTube it, tons of videos. But the basic premise is that a speaker guides you to focus on one thing momentarily, and all your thoughts and your worries are on that one thing. During that moment, you're purposefully being present. So, for example, let's go back to that Delta Hug product. You're gonna describe it to yourself. You're going to talk about the texture. You're gonna feel it. You're going to talk about the color in your head. And that what it does is it kind of distracts you from your anxieties. It distracts you from your worries, but it also gives you a moment to reflect just on this, which helps relieve your physical stress. It actually relieves muscle spasms in that moment. Like I said, I have a lot of practicing to do, and it can be somatic. It can affect your body. So I would definitely not stay away from comparing yourself to other people. Secondly, try and take care of yourself physically as best as you can. If you're having a hard time focusing, that's okay. Take that physical step away. Sometimes what you need to do, like there's been times where I just could not figure out a super badge or a regular badge. I've had to just literally been like, okay, this is enough. Like I'm walking away. Like I'm rage quitting. Like
yeah.
and that's okay. Go take a walk, and life goes on. Life goes on.
Exactly. Rage, walk away, I say. Forget it.
And get your water. Get your water.
Take your water. Go for your mental health break. Your mental health walk.
Maybe go take a mindfulness water break.
Yeah, there you go. And you'll come up with ways to do it. Well, perfect. Janelle, this is awesome having you on. I think that health within the ecosystem is such an important topic, and it's finally getting really the attention that it's starting to deserve. And with us all working from home, these are 5 amazing tips to be able to start implementing really into our everyday. So I can't wait to put my little post-it note. I'll take a picture for everybody to see at the end of the video. That's all I gotta do now. Yeah, fix that posture. All right. Well, Janelle, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know that a lot of people, including myself, are going to benefit from everything that you said. And I love to be able to hand off the last final words for you.
I just want to ensure that everybody, remembers that health is a lifelong journey. Don't try all of these tips all at once. If you're doing something, make sure, you do it incrementally. If something is too much, always ask your medical provider for advice. And let's encourage each other. Check in with me, check in with Megan. Let's encourage each other to be healthy. Let's do this together.
And every link that she mentioned will be down below in the comment section. If you have questions for Janelle, you can also find her LinkedIn below. Thank you so much for watching. We loved having her on the channel. Yes, it was so much fun. We'll secretly have her back in the future for other things. So awesome. Everybody watching, we will see you in the next episode, and take care. Bye.
Bye.
Yay.